They laughed at his shoes every single day. The peeling soles, the frayed laces, the whispers in the hallway, the cameras pointed at him. But one rainy afternoon, those same kids would be begging for help, and the boy they mocked the most would be the only one willing to save them. At Lincoln Middle School in Los Angeles, most kids tried their hardest to fit in. The right shoes, the right phone, the right friends. But Ethan Ramirez never really belonged to that world. He was quiet, gentle, the kind of kid who held doors open for strangers and said thank you to cafeteria workers. His teachers loved him. But the hallways were a different story. Every morning Ethan walked through the school wearing the same pair of sneakers. They were old, really old. The rubber soles were peeling away from the bottom. The laces didn't even match anymore. One white, one grey. They weren't Nike. They weren't Adidas. They weren't cool. But they were all he had. Ethan didn't ask for new shoes. He never even hinted about it, because he knew what life looked like at home. His mom worked 2 jobs, morning shift at a diner, night shift cleaning office buildings. Some nights Ethan waited up just to hear the front door open. She'd walk in exhausted, her hands smelling like bleach and soap. "Did you eat, Mijo?" she would ask softly. Ethan would always smile. "Yeah, Mom, I'm good." Even when he wasn't. The last thing he wanted was to be another burden. A few years earlier, Ethan's father had left. No warning, no goodbye. Just an empty closet and a silence that lingered in the apartment. Ethan watched his mom hold everything together with pure determination. Bills, rent, groceries, every dollar mattered. So when Ethan looked down at his worn-out shoes, he didn't see embarrassment. He saw sacrifice. But middle school kids didn't see sacrifice. They saw a joke. Every lunch break, the same group of boys sat across the cafeteria, pointing and laughing. "Yo, Ethan," one shouted one day. "Did those shoes survive the Stone Age or something?" The table exploded in laughter. Another kid pulled out his phone. Hold up, I gotta film this." He zoomed in on Ethan's shoes. "Guys, look at this dude's kicks." The video went up on TikTok that afternoon. Within hours, everyone at school had seen it. Ethan kept his eyes on his tray. His face burned. But he said nothing. Not a single word. The teasing didn't stop. It got worse. In the hallway, someone whispered loudly, "Careful, guys. If Ethan runs too fast, those shoes might fossilize." More laughter. Sometimes Ethan wondered if maybe fighting back would make it stop. But every time anger rose inside him, he remembered something his mom once told him while reading the Bible together. "Kindness," she said gently, "is strongest when it's hardest to give." Still, being kind didn't make the pain disappear. Some nights Ethan lay awake staring at the ceiling. Why do they hate me? What did I even do? A small voice inside him whispered something darker. Next time they laugh, humiliate them back. But another voice, quieter, steadier, rose inside his heart. The words he had heard at church. Love your enemies. It sounded beautiful in church. But in middle school, it felt almost impossible. One evening, Ethan's mom noticed him staring at his shoes by the door. She knelt beside him. "Mijo, are kids bothering you?" Ethan hesitated. He forced a smile. "It's nothing, Mom." She looked at the worn sneakers, then back at his face. "I'll get you new ones soon," she whispered. Ethan shook his head quickly. "No, please don't. We need the money." His mom's eyes filled with tears, but Ethan just hugged her. Then one afternoon, everything changed. Dark clouds rolled over Los Angeles. Rain poured harder than anyone expected. After school, kids gathered near the street where stormwater rushed through a deep gutter. The same boys who mocked Ethan were there, messing around. One jumped across the flowing water. Another shoved him playfully. "Bro, don't fall!" Suddenly, a foot slipped. A backpack dropped into the rushing current. Books, phones, homework. Everything started drifting away. "Grab it," someone shouted. But the water was stronger than it looked. The boy who slipped struggled to stand. Panic spread instantly. Nobody moved. Then someone noticed Ethan standing nearby. The boy holding the camera froze. "Dude, help!" For a brief moment, Ethan hesitated. The memory of their laughter echoed in his mind. The jokes, the videos, the humiliation. He could walk away. No one would blame him. But another voice rose in his heart. The words of Jesus he'd heard so many times. "Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." Ethan took a deep breath and ran forward. Without thinking about the water, or the mud, or his shoes, Ethan stepped straight into the rushing stream. Cold water surged around his legs. his worn sneakers soaked instantly. The peeling soles flapped as he pushed against the current. He reached out and grabbed the drifting backpack just before it disappeared down the storm drain. Gasps echoed from the sidewalk. Then Ethan turned toward the boy who had slipped. The same boy who filmed him, the same boy who laughed the loudest. Ethan held out his hand. "Here, I got you." The boy stared at him, stunned. "You're helping me?" Ethan nodded gently. "Of course." He pulled him up from the water. For a moment no one spoke. The rain slowed. The laughter that once filled the air was gone. All anyone could see were those same worn-out shoes standing in the water. Saving the day. The boy holding the camera slowly lowered his phone. "Ethan," he muttered. "I'm sorry." Others looked down in silence. For the first time, they weren't laughing. They were ashamed. But Ethan didn't lecture them. He didn't say, "I told you so." He just handed back the backpack and walked home quietly in the rain. The next day at school, something felt different. No whispers, no laughter, just quiet respect. One kid even slid into the cafeteria seat beside Ethan. "Hey, that was really cool yesterday." Ethan shrugged. It was nothing. But deep down, everyone knew it was something. That day, Ethan lived out a truth many people miss in the Bible. Jesus said in Matthew 5:44, "Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." And another powerful truth echoes in Romans 12:21, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." Ethan didn't win by proving them wrong. He didn't win with revenge. He won with grace. Because while the world judges appearances, God measures the heart. Have you ever been judged for something you couldn't control? Comment, "Kindness wins" if you believe God sees the heart, not the shoes. And follow for more powerful stories that remind us what truly matters.